Shazam has got its Thursday box office preliminary figure released. It is $9.225 million. Now, that probably includes all of the days up until Thursday, all of the event screenings and so on. So, $9.2 million for Thursday for the US domestic market. So, what does that let us do now for the weekend box office? The first problem is lots of places show films in different amounts on the Thursday. Thursday's not a real day. Some films have a lot of screens for Thursdays and some films don't. So it's very difficult to get what exactly does this $9 million mean. Was it a wide release on Thursday or was it not as wide a release? But if we just go to Captain Marvel, for example, and see what happened with Captain Marvel, just as an example of a very recent film, Captain Marvel made around about $61 million officially for Friday. Now, that's not the actual Friday amount. All of the films lie about this. They say the film opens on Friday, but what Friday is every single cent earned up until midnight Friday. So up until midnight Friday, it earned $61 million. Officially, it earned $20 million on Thursday. So it actually earned $20 million up until Thursday, and then it earned $41 million on Friday. So the real Friday total was $41 million. This isn't abnormal for Captain Marvel. All of the films do this rubbish to inflate their Friday totals. This is why Friday can have some sort of monster amount. It's because it's not Friday, okay? It's actually every single day up until the Friday. And so just using the Captain Marvel numbers, which may or may not be applicable with Shazam, but there's not too many other numbers out there really to base it on, Captain Marvel got $20 million on Thursday, and then it got $41 million on Friday. So it basically made double the amount on Friday that it made on Thursday, and then they add it all together and pretend it's Friday. But that's what we actually have. So if we just do that with Shazam right now, Shazam assembly made $9.225 million on Thursday. So if we double the $9 million, we get about $18 million for Friday projections for Shazam, and then we add the $9 million back to the $18 million, and we pretend all of that happened on Friday, and that gives us a $27 million opening day for Friday for Shazam. Now, again, this is based on the ratio that Captain Marvel made. That might not be a fair ratio. Captain Marvel may have had a very wide Thursday opening compared to Shazam, or it may have had a fairly narrow opening compared to Shazam. But at this very, very early stage, I'll just base it upon what Captain Marvel did. So right now, roughly speaking, we'll say that it'll make around about $27 million for the Friday. So what will it make on the Saturday? So if we look again at Captain Marvel had a 14% reduction from the Friday to the Saturday, which again isn't a real 14% reduction because the Friday numbers are completely bogus. Captain Marvel earned $41 million Friday and it earned $52 million on Saturday. So it earned more money on Saturday than Friday, but all the official things reverse it. Again, this is not a Captain Marvel thing. All the films do this. But anyway, if we look at that, we go, okay, Captain Marvel lost 14%. Ant-Man might make a somewhat similar amount of money as to what Shazam does. So for Ant-Man, we can see that Ant-Man lost 14% for its Saturday. Ant-Man and the Wasp lost 30% on its Saturday compared to its official Friday. The Infinity War lost 22.8, let's say 23% on its Saturday. And again, that Friday total for Infinity War, 106 million. It didn't get 106 million on Friday. That was all the days up until Friday. Jurassic World lost about 15%. And lastly, the bad one of the bunch, Batman v Superman, it lost 38% of its money from Saturday to the official Friday number. So if we go with a 15% reduction, if we multiply that out from the $27.5 million or so dollars from the quote-unquote Friday, we get around about $23.5 million for Saturday. And if we go with 38% just to see what a Batman v Superman number does, which is a ridiculously bad number, Batman v Superman basically bombed after the Friday opening, which was huge. But anyway, if we multiply out the 38%, we'll get a bit over $17 million. So somewhere using these very rough numbers, Saturday prediction $23.5 million to 17.1, but probably a lot closer to the 23 than to the 17. And then Captain Marvel dropped 26% from the Saturday number down to what it got on Sunday. Ant-Man dropped around 22% from Saturday to Sunday. Ant-Man and the Wasp dropped 21% from Saturday to Sunday. The Infinity War dropped 15.7, so 16% from the Saturday to the Sunday. Jurassic World dropped 18% from the Saturday to the Sunday. And Batman v Superman couldn't stop the bleeding. It dropped 33.3% from the already bad Saturday down to the Sunday. So around 20% looks to be a fair number to go for. Some of them are a bit under that, some are a little bit over. And Batman v Superman, that's just our outlier that we'll use again. So 20% approximate drop from Saturday to Sunday, and probably worst case scenario, a 33% drop. And so a 20% drop from our previous 15% drop will give us about $18.8 million for Sunday, and a 33% drop from the previous 38% drop will give us about $11.5 million for the Sunday. And all up, that gives us a bit of a range of $70 million to $56 million. Now, the $70 million sounds high to me, but all of this is based on the $9.2 million Thursday. I'm assuming that will mean there's an $18 million Friday, which may be a 100% incorrect assumption. I have no idea how many screens Thursday was open for Shazam compared to Thursday for Captain Marvel, so I'm not sure. But the $9 million is a little bit over half of what Captain Marvel got for the Thursday, so I'm just kind of going with that ratio again. That ratio can be wrong, and if it is, all of these figures are completely meaningless. That once the real Friday figure comes out, we can then do something like this and it'll be accurate. So this may be accurate, it may not, just basing this upon what Captain Marvel did. And Captain Marvel in total went on to something like, I think it was $153 million for the US Open. So again, 70 million versus 153. That's, getting close to half, bit less than half, but let's say half. And then we've got $9 million is about half of the $20 million. So that ratio still kind of sticks around, but a bit of a gap here. But at this stage, using that preliminary number, $70 million looks like it could be happening. Okay, again, that sounds really high to me. I didn't think it would get $70 million, but if the $9 million follows through, $70 million opening weekend for Shazam, that's way bigger than all the expectations and way bigger than what I thought it would do, just based on the buzz and so on, and also based on how empty the cinema was where I saw the film. Not that anecdotal evidence means much, but it was pretty empty. But anyway, we'll see how good these figures are. Again, they may be miles off, but $70 million at this stage, that would be what I would say it's going to get for the weekend for the US domestic box office. And just lastly here, I just happened to be looking at this for Infinity War and, for Endgame, and thought I'll call this up for Shazam. This is what's happening for Saturday at a big multiplex near me. This isn't one I actually go to, but this is one of the large ones. I think it's got 24 or 28 screens, something ridiculous like that. And this is how many sessions that Shazam is getting for Saturday. So that's the treatment they're giving Shazam. They've got two big screens there. It's not a nice one. It doesn't have an IMAX, but it's got a VMAX, whatever that means for them. That's their good screens. And they're not actually showing it on all of the VMAXs they have available. They're actually showing Dumbo on one of the other VMAXs in the morning, and then they're showing us on the other VMAX. So it looks like they have two of these. They're big screens, they're good screens. They're not even dedicating both screens to Shazam, which to me, it sounds a bit insulting, to be honest. They're giving the other screen to both Dumbo and to us, which are not on their first weekend opening. They're, they're in their own thing. And Pet Sematary, I don't know what the deal is with that. They're not bothering to give that one of the big screens at all, so that's a bit crazy. But anyway, Shazam is not getting the full treatment, if you like. It's getting about half as many screens as what Captain Marvel got at the same place. In fact, I think it's getting a bit less than half the screens that Captain Marvel got. And this one here, this was kind of what I was laughing at until I saw what the numbers for Shazam were actually out. This is what they've got planned for Endgame at this place. This is the number of sessions that they're actually putting on at the same time compared to Shazam. So they're using both of the VMAX screens here. There's only two screens, and I've sort of highlighted one of them in red and one of them in green. But they're getting serious, okay? They're getting absolutely serious. They are putting on. Now, they do have far more screens than this, to be honest. Like, a lot more. But I don't know if I've ever seen this many sessions for a film. Maybe there has been. That just looks crazy. So there's something like 3 times as many sessions they're putting on for Endgame as to what they're putting on for Shazam, and it looks to be roughly something like an extra third over what they had for Captain Marvel. So they're basically doing as much as they can. They're running it from 6 a.m. and they're going until 11:15 at night. And remember, the film doesn't finish at 11:15. The thing's 3 hours long. Well, it's about 3 hours 40, I think, with ads. So it's a big film. It's a long film, and that's the kind of treatment they're getting ready for that. And again, back to Shazam. Shazam, they're not expecting anything like that at all. If we just go on the rough screen numbers here, they think that Shazam will do about a third of the money that Endgame will do. I think that's being kind. I don't think it'll do a third of the money Endgame does, but just a ridiculous number of screens for Endgame. Anyway, that's my sort of really, really, really early prediction right now. $70 million opening box office for the US domestic total for Shazam. And again, I would not have said that number until I saw the $9 million. I thought the $40 or $50 million or even $35 million, some people are saying, sounded about right to me. So this is nearly double what some of those estimates are, which sounds very large. But anyway, that's what I'll stick with at the moment, $70 million, and we'll see what the Saturday numbers bring. Or sorry, what the Friday numbers bring, which we'll get on Saturday. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.